In this episode of Fix It Bong Bong, I show you how to fix a broken gauge screen on a 2011 through 2018 third generation focus gauge screen.
What about escapes?
Ah! Alright. Alrighty, so what we've got here is a 2016 Ford Focus with a bad LCD in the instrument cluster, and this is a pretty common problem, at least from what I read online on these third generation Focuses and Escapes. So I think that's 2010 or 2011 through 2018 Focuses and Escapes where this center LCD tends to go bad. At the dealership and a lot of independent mechanics places, they will quote around $1,100 to $1,500 to replace this whole gauge cluster. But if you go online, you can actually purchase this LCD separately and replace that. So in this video, we're gonna save my buddy Ricky a whole bunch of money by replacing just the LCD. I believe that part cost around $100. So let's get started. All right, so step one, we're going to go ahead and drop the steering wheel to the lowest position and all the way back. Step two, this little piece right here underneath the gauge cluster, grab a hold of it and pull backwards. Just like that. And then pull the faux leather piece up and out. That separates that from there. Alright, now you got that little bezel piece and cloth cover out of the way. You've just got two T-25 Torx screws holding the gauge cluster in, so go ahead and remove those and the gauge cluster should pull right out. Alright, and now Alright, now you made it this far, you just got to disconnect the cluster from this one single plug. Now the trick here is there's a tab right here in the center. You'll press down and flick this, well, my hand's in the way, but you'll press this tab down and slide this whole assembly this way. So press down, slide this way, releases, and then you can take the cluster out. Alright, so now you've got the gauge cluster out of the car. We're going to work on removing this front bezel here, and it's only held in with these clips right here. So we're just going to use a flathead to go ahead and kind of pop these guys out one by one. Alright. Lift off nice and carefully and set that aside. Okay, so the two screws right here holding the LCD screen in are just going to be a Torx T10 bit, so we're just going to go ahead and remove those. Go ahead and set that aside. Get better access to the screen here. And now you can see the, let me see if I can zoom in for you real quick. Okay, so at this point you've got your LCD flipped over and you've got the ribbon cable exposed. The way you disconnect this is you take, I don't know if the camera's zoomed in enough here, but basically you're going to take your pick tool and you're going to flip this guy upwards like that. Once you have that guy flipped up, that should allow you to just go ahead and pull the whole thing out. Alright, like I mentioned earlier, you can find these replacement LCDs just on a quick Google search all over the internet. So again, a lot cheaper than paying the dealership $1,500 for this thing. Just get this, I think this was $100. Let's take a look here. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and insert the ribbon cable. Right into the socket. Like so. Fold the socket down and fold it, go ahead and set it right back just like that. Now just reinstall the screws. Alrighty. So that's what it should look like right there. So at this point you can go ahead and start putting your gauge cluster back together. Go ahead and peel your protective screen thing off. Make sure you don't have any dirt trapped in the gauge cluster there, and oops, this goes the other way. There you go. Alright, so that's how that should look. Just like that with your screen installed. And then the bezel just clips right back on top of the whole thing. Alright, so make sure all your clips are clipped together, the bottom and the top. And now you're ready to put it right back in the car. Okie dokie, so now you've got your newly fixed gauge cluster here. You're just gonna go ahead and do the opposite of what you did a couple minutes ago. Carefully fish it back in. Get your plug. Keeping in mind not to scratch the lenses up front. Plug in. Okay. And then we'll just go ahead and ever so softly, very nicely, kind of push her back into place there. It's a T-25. Don't forget your nice little cover piece here. This part clips into the steering wheel column first, like so. Alright, little crumb catcher, and this part just right in like it's from the factory. Alrighty, so at this point you've got everything all buttoned up and put back together. You can go ahead and stick the key in and check your work. Oh, did you look at that? Looks like the screen is working again and everything seems to be working pretty good. Alright, so that saved my buddy Ricky a bunch of money there, and hopefully saves you a bunch of money. If you liked what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. In this episode of Fix It Bong Bong, I showed you how to... Okay, that was gonna be my good one. It looks so sad and broken.